Back on Sold Out Sports Talk on AFR Talk. Roman Gabriel III, your host. Of course, you can join us every Saturday night at 8 Eastern right here, or you can follow us streaming live at afr.net. And if you happen to miss us, because I know everybody might be taking fathers out early on Saturday night for a little dinner, that's just a hint to some of you sons and daughters out there that take care of Dad as we get ready for Father's Day tomorrow. You can join us on Droid or iPhone podcast, afr.net. Just go to the podcast, download our full program, or you can go to our archive, listen to it streaming at Sold Out Sports Talk. Also, if you want more information about guests coming up, other things that we're doing, you can go to my Facebook at Roman Gabriel III. Sold Out Youth Ministries is our other Facebook page. Twittering, love to do that. Roman Gabriel, the number 3RD. Our website at soldouttv.com, or you can check us out at maxsportscall.com. And I'm going to tell you a little later, we've been talking about this Father's Day gift, this Tony Dungy DVD, and then we're going to throw in a 3-hour Super Bowl extravaganza, 4 total hours of Super Bowl stuff on Sold Out for a gift of $25. And 215 Boone Heights Drive, suite number 304, Boone, North Carolina. 28607 is the address. Attention, Sold Out Youth Ministry. That's tax deductible, and I'll give you more details. Superstars like you wouldn't believe from the NFL. Testimonies galore. And you can do it there, or you can go to my Facebook, use your credit card, and do it right there as well, as we raise funding for Sold Out Youth Ministries that way. And we give you a way to give testimony through the passion of sports, through the Super Bowl, to some of your neighbors, to your kids, and a chance, Dad, to spend some quality time with your kids, watching some great entertainment, and having an opportunity to hear these incredible faith stories from some of the greatest NFL athletes and coaches in the world. And we've been doing that 17 years, so we appreciate all that support. My guest coming in, well, he played tight end at Brown University. He spent, a great deal of time, over 14 years with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Ethnographic media, was involved with Into the Spear, and really involved in the media business, and that's how he and I got together to help form Sold Out Youth Ministries, as we felt that media and entertainment was the way to reach out to youngsters and families today. He now is the Vice President of Development at Dawson McAllister Ministries. Dawson McAllister's been around over 40 years. He's on 120-plus talk, well, not just talk radio, but more music radio formats, secular, on Sunday nights, and he has a great way of reaching out to 19 to 29-year-old youngsters. We're going to talk to him about that. He's been here before. I love having him because he's got such a great idea about sports and youth and how to reach out, and so many great ideas. My guest, T.Ray Grandstaff. T.Ray, how you doing?
Hey, Roman, doing terrific, and great to be on the program with you. You know, I believe in what you do. I know who you are, and I also realize why you get up each morning, what makes you tick. And I'm really proud to be called a friend and a joint visionary with Sold Out Youth Ministry and what you're doing on the radio. Great to be with you.
Well, T-Ray, we're excited because we got Father's Day tomorrow, and I'm going to be pumped up because I know I'm going to be spending it at a really beautiful country club here after church tomorrow. We're going to go have lunch, and we're going to see some good friends. Then we're going to spend some time with my granddaughter and my son and daughter-in-law, so we're going to have a great Father's Day. And one of the traditions that I always enjoy doing is I'm going to TiVo it, but I'm going to watch my U.S. Open. U.S. Open golf has been a great tradition in my family for a long time, and I know a lot of guys out there are going to be playing some golf, watching some golf. And so what are you going to be doing on Father's Day?
You know, we're actually traveling. I've been in Southern California all week long, and then got into Fort Smith, Arkansas to spend some time with family. And my bride, Stacy, and Tanner and the triplets weren't supposed to show up until today. And I was surprised sitting in the chair, and I saw these 7-year-olds running around in the backyard. So I was just so excited. So I got the cards that were made especially for me, and it was just great to be with family. So we actually have already celebrated Father's Day yesterday, and so I'll be excited to travel with my bride to Nashville, outside of Nashville, where the Dawson McAllister Association and the Hopeline.com is located. So Stace gets to tour the radio facilities, and so we're going to have a good time.
Now, I corrected myself earlier with my audience because I was talking about how this is the one special day for fathers, and it hit me very quickly that our wives probably would disagree with that every day is a special day for us.
Yes, that's great. And I like to stretch Father's Day into a multi-day weekend. That works best for me.
Oh, well, wait a minute. We're not going to disagree with that. Let's turn this thing into 3 days, and I'm I'm sure
That's right.
when Mother's Day turns around, it could be a 7-day gig for them.
Yes, and really June should really be Father's Month. I think we can start it right here, right now. The tradition begins.
I like the way you think. Let's just turn this thing into a month-long Father's Month.
Yes, sports gifts each day.
There you go.
The father that you love.
Sold Out Sports Talk on AFR Talk as we get ready for Father's Day tomorrow, and our guest T.Ray Grandstaff is the Vice President Development for Dawson McAllister Ministries. Now, when I get around and I talk about Dawson McAllister, T-Ray, a lot of people know who he is, and I had the opportunity to travel to Nashville a few weeks back to visit with you guys and talk about some synergy in ministry. And one of the things that I like about what he's doing, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with what we're doing here at American Family when you're working directly about faith, family. But Dawson had an idea years back to go away from straight-up Christian radio and to have faith in God, to say, you know what, if we're going to reach out to 19 to 29-year-old girls, boys, teenagers, men and women, we need to go where they're at. And what you decided to do, and he decided to do at the time, was to go after music-oriented top 40 stations and put a format talk show together. Of course, he's a counselor, professional psychologist, and how do we meet the difficult problems and give these people a place to come for those things? And then more importantly, how do we follow up on them and give them some true long-term care?
Yeah, that's right, Roman. And really, I think each of us need to be bilingual in the language we speak. We need to have that sacred language that we can speak to the faith audience to encourage them, to rebuke, to correct, and train in righteousness. And we need to not neglect that language of fellowshipping with other people and encouraging them to greater works and greater deeds. But we also need to be careful the language we use to those individuals in the secular. So we need to have a sacred voice and a secular voice. And we need to use language, not that it's offensive, but language that can plant seeds of story and of what faith looks like lived out. So that when people ask, what is the reason for the hope that is within you? It's there that we can give them an answer to the questions they ask. That the gospel is alive, and that gospel is Jesus. But unfortunately, too often we try to take the sacred language and apply that to secular relationships, and a lot of times it doesn't translate well. And sometimes we can be seen as giving people answers to questions they're not asking. So there's
T.Ray Grandstaff,
two different modes.
Our special guest on Sold Out Sports Talk on AFR Talk. And T.Ray, of course, he and I grew up together in FCA. That's where we started Fellowship of Christian Athletes and began to see the great need in junior high, high schools, and colleges, and the lack of hope that resonated in many of our schools today that obviously have stopped supporting God. And we've seen the results of this last generation. And one of the things that we've talked about with you and Dawson McAllister and is some of the avenues by which we can use sports as a way to reach out as a universal language. And what we try to do here is putting out well-done films that have a faith message, but in a package that youngsters and families are used to seeing, that moves quickly, that's well done, that talks to big stars and high-impact sports stars and coaches and people around sports. You know, through a radio program like this where we can talk about behind the scenes, where we can bring people the stories of these athletes and coaches and what they're really all about. Social networking with Facebook and Twitter, and how we can communicate and bring in audiences that we never could have reached before. And Facebook shows me one thing, T-Ray, in this whole social networking discussion. Obviously, there are a lot of lonely people out there, because when you look at the fact that Facebook is the #1 internet destination and that people actually are out there making friends there, and that's where they're making initial friends because they don't have a lot of personal contacts. In a way, it's sad, but in another way, from our perspective, it's a great opportunity to reach out to non-Christian people through the world of sports and to engage them in conversation, as you said, to answer the questions that they have.
Yes, that's right, Roman. To be able to employ the means to reach this generation is so important, because we're talking about a generation that needs to be not only reached, but also rescued and to restore it, for them to be able to see that there's a hope for tomorrow. Because look at what's going on in our nation. You know, the difficulties of broken marriages, difficulties of loneliness, and as you said, sometimes, Facebook communication can substitute the real. But on the positive side, it gives people an opportunity to reach out. And I think we should continue to connect with individuals and show them what our faith looks like lived out.
T.Ray Grandstaff, our guest on Sold Out Sports Talk on AFR Talk. And a lot of people wonder what the power of sports is. You and I have been involved in it for most all of our life, either playing it, coaching it, involved in organizations where they use sports as the mechanism. Why is sports so powerful in reaching people?
There's three platforms, when it comes to music, media, and sports. And I think people are drawn to music because there's something about music that resonates with the soul. It's the worshipers that can draw other people into worship. There's also something about the storytellers of media that can impact people through story as Jesus did in telling parables. But there's also something about sports, the warriors of our society, that people are drawn to the conflict. And when those people who combat on a daily basis, who have disciplined their bodies and are disciplining their minds for competition, they have a platform unlike very many other avenues. And for them to be able to stand up and speak truth in a way that is palatable to the audience, that is really powerful. To be able to demonstrate what our faith looks like lived out by bearing the very fruit of the Spirit. What does that look like in competition? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. When that comes out in competition with the ability to achieve and the competitive circles, it can really create an atmosphere where sports can reach the world. And that's what you're doing, Roman. That's the heart of who you are, and that's the platform that you're utilizing through media and sports.
T.Ray Grandstaff, our guest, Vice President of Development for Dawson McAllister Ministries. And tell you what, when we come back, we're going to talk to T.Ray more about sports media, his background, about how as Christians we can be more effective in reaching out not only with the gospel message but with relevant news about our time. So when we come back on Sold Out Sports Talk on AFR Talk, T.Ray Grandstaff, more with him. You stay with us right here on a Father's Day special on Sold Out Sports Talk.